Hi, it's Mike Pangia, and today we're going to talk about shucking oysters. I know to many people it probably seems pretty exotic, this skill, and they would never think about doing it at home. But I'm going to show you how to do it. It's really not so complicated, and it's a worthwhile endeavor. Meanwhile, there are some facts about oysters that a lot of people think are probably myths. Let me put this to rest. They're really not myths. The first is that you should only eat oysters in months with R. Well, the reason for that, and it's true, is that in the warmer months, in the spring and summertime, when there's no R in the month, bacteria thrives that attacks the oysters and invades them and makes them less than wholesome for humans to consume. So there is some truth to that. In the cooler months with the R's, you're better off, and that's when you should enjoy oysters. The second one is a sexual factor. You've probably heard that oysters are good for sex, and you may have thought that was a myth, but it's really true because the high zinc content of oysters, which is an unusual element not found in a lot of foods, does promote the production of testosterone, which of course helps sexual performance. The other thing, even for the ladies, it helps produce dopamine, which of course is the pleasure hormone. So those are two things about oysters that you ought to consider. Let's take a look at the star of our show, the oyster. First thing I want you to notice is that the bottom shell is like a bowl and the top shell is flat like a lid. That's a key factor that you'll watch out for when you're shucking oysters. I want you to take a look at the pointy end of the oyster. That's the hinge end. And you'll notice that the bottom shell actually hooks up and over the top shell. This is important to note because this is the critical part of opening the oyster. You need to know exactly where you're going to put the pressure and where you're going to open it. And in fact, you're going to push your knife right into this opening where the lower shell overlaps the point of the upper shell. That's the key factor you need to know to shuck an oyster. Here's a classic oyster knife. It's not particularly sharp, but it's very stiff. It has a point to help you enter into the oyster. First thing we want to do is secure our oyster and find the opening where we can put our knife. Now we're going to wiggle my knife down, wiggle it in, and when I've got a good bite on it, I'll twist it a little bit. There it is. We broke it open. Now the trick is to go inside and take the knife along the top flat shell and cut that muscle. Now we have to do the same thing with the lower shell. Scrape through that muscle so that the oyster is loose in the shell. We don't want to lose any of that delicious brine. Let's do it again. There we are, we've broken it open. And we want to get the knife along that, scrape it along that upper shell. Got some broken shell in here which we want to clean out. Loosen it from the bottom shell. You may be wondering what to put on your oyster before you eat it. May I suggest a classic mignonette, which is nothing more than shallots and red wine vinegar run through a food processor to get a fine mince on the shallot. Now a little mignonette, and we're ready to go. There you have it. And I promise you, if you practice these techniques even a little bit, it won't take you long to become a real expert. Also, what a delight it would be for a host or hostess to be able to serve freshly shucked oysters to their guests. Very impressive. Meanwhile, if you know somebody that is an oyster enthusiast, why not share this video with them? I think they'll be happy to get it and appreciative. Also, if you have not yet subscribed to this station, to my channel, please do it. Please do it. Don't be a freeloader. Don't be watching and taking advantage and learning things, but not subscribing. Please subscribe if you haven't done it. You know about the thumbs up and the likes. More likes help me with my relationship with the YouTube people. So if you like what I'm doing, give me a like, give me a thumbs up, what the heck. And as I've said many times before, I don't want you to fake it. If you don't like it, don't do it. You can even hit a don't like button if that's how you really feel. I won't be mad. Meanwhile, thanks again for watching. I appreciate your continuing support. I'd love to hear from you in the comments or email mike@mikepangia.com. I always answer, so far, until I become too big for my britches and too popular, then maybe I won't be able to answer everyone. But for now, I do. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you again next time.